let's start right there with I got a little mea culpa here. I screwed up. If you're going to say some crazy stuff, you got to back it up, or you got to admit when you made a mistake. And here's what happened. So Tuesday, I've kind of run through this before, but had another appearance on the Paul Feinbaum show. If you missed that, you can also check that out on our YouTube page. I've uploaded that to the That SEC Podcast YouTube page, but got to hang out with Paul for about 10 or so minutes. Really great conversation. And as they always do, they find the juiciest part of the content, they tweet it out, and man, did I piss off the Aggies. So let's get to the interview. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's like 11 minutes long here, but I'm going to play the part Paul was asking me about NIL, Jimbo Fisher, Lane Kiffin, the back and forth, and I'll show you the tweet in just a second, but it set the Aggies off, and I kind of missed the point a little bit, but I also screwed up, so I got to own up to it.
Michael, let's get to the NIL conversation, and it just seems like true or false, A&M is now the bad guy. Everybody else is, we should feel sorry for, including Nick Saban at Alabama. It just doesn't seem fair. I'm giving you the narrative, of course, not the reality. But how much of this is reality, and your take on what Jimbo Fisher has done and how he has done it?
Well, I absolutely love it, Paul, and I love that Kiffin's out here calling Jimbo out because, from my understanding, he's been described to me as a lazy high school recruiter. So, of course, he's going to be calling out Texas A&M that, of course, Jimbo had, he was so upset that all these allegations were out there. Jimbo and his staff worked incredibly hard at recruiting. But let's not kid ourselves. The best class in the recruiting era was built on NIL, and now we're seeing other programs take advantage of it. And I'm wondering, because we're already seeing Kirby and Nick Saban, like you said, come out here and they want regulations. I wonder why. It's because they've been dominating the recruiting landscape. And I wonder if this, we certainly know the passion of Alabama and Georgia fan bases. But do they want a championship more than Texas A&M, which hasn't had one since the 50s? Do they want a championship more than Tennessee, which hasn't won the SEC since 1998? I would fathom to say the answer is no. So I love the fact that NIL may be an opportunity for these teams that have all the pieces in place but just haven't been able to do it, maybe give them a leg up on an Alabama and a Georgia who otherwise are poised to dominate the SEC for years to come.
Hey, basically the point I was trying to make is we can't bury our heads in the sand. NIL is a part of college football, and the teams that are recruiting at an elite level in this era, hell, we're seeing Tennessee, Arkansas, A&M, Texas Longhorns. I mean, NIL is a big piece of the puzzle, and it is a piece of the puzzle certainly at Alabama and Georgia. But, I think this is why Kirby and Saban are out here trying to limit the value of NIL and recruiting and all this because it endangers them. Whereas places like Texas A&M, places like Tennessee we're seeing now, the fans are willing to commit to a winner. You're not doing anything wrong. Now, where I stepped in it, I said the class. I'll throw the tweet up here that Feinbaum had. They even got my, they tweeted at the wrong account. It's not even mine, but I love that Kiffin's out here calling out Jimbo. Let's not kid ourselves. The best class in the history of recruiting was built on a foundation of NIL. And what I mean by that, again, you just heard the full clip. I'm not saying that, hell, I even called Kiffin a lazy recruiter here in that segment, but that didn't make the cut. It was the foundation of the NIL. I screwed up on it. I get nervous as hell going on this Paul Feinbaum show. I should not have said the foundation of it because that does insinuate that is all NIL based, where Jimbo and his staff, they work their ass off, and it's not just Texas guys they're landing. Since the moment they've got there, they've made Texas A&M a national recruiting brand, and they continue to do that. They continue to beat out SEC powers in the state of Georgia, Tennessee, Arkansas, Florida. They go to California to get guys. They go to Pennsylvania. I mean, they go all across the country for these elite prospects. So should not have said the foundation of that class was based on NIL. But I'm not taking it back saying that NIL is not a factor. And I know the great Billy Lucci, I mean, he's the go-to source for Texas A&M inside information. He retweets my stuff all the time. He really took issue with this tweet. And, I got nothing against Billy. Again, I think he's fantastic. But, I mean, look at his organization, Texags. They give $10,000 for these athletes to come on and give a 30-minute interview. And that, again, that's not going to get you a number one recruiting class. But you better believe recruits see that, and they know that if they come to A&M, they're going to get these types of deals. And again, this is all legal, so more power to them. The real issue, in my opinion, is these coaches getting upset with it and calling A&M out. That's something Jimbo, we're going to get to his comments here in just a second. He's still having a comment on it. Anytime they gain a 5-star, the allegations are out there against the Aggies. But, hey, I screwed up a little bit here. NIL is certainly, and from here on out, as long as it's legal, it's going to be a huge part. Every recruiting class that's in the top 10 is going to be built with NIL in it. And that's why when people say, well, where's the proof? You're not showing me any evidence. NIL, they don't release their figures. They don't release what they're getting. And they also don't make it very public. There's no reason to do so. There's no benefit in doing so. It doesn't even matter if we're talking Texas A&M here. If a quarterback comes in one year and he gets $1 million deal, what's the next quarterback going to say? I want $2 million. What is your rival going to say when they hear you're giving a quarterback $1 million and they want him? We'll give him $1.5 million. This is just going to be an endless cycle of throwing money around. This is all under the table and it's all legal. But hell, we just saw it with the huge $8 million deal. We can't even technically say who that is or reveal what school he's going to, his name, nothing. Because once you do that, then the contract's broken. So where's the proof that Tennessee paid a guy? There's no proof. You're not going to get proof in the NIL era because it's written into the contract that once you start blasting what I'm getting, here's what I'm getting paid by this NIL collective or this business venture. That's why Saban's out here saying $1 million because he wants that figure out there, whether that was true or not, of Bryce Young. It benefited Alabama in that scenario. It's not going to benefit them to announce every single NIL deal they come about in the years to come, and it ain't going to be coming out. But trust me, every one of these major classes is going to be having NIL deals as long as it's legal, and it's perfectly legal. And the main point I was trying to make, credit A&M and their fan base for doing what it takes to push that program over the top. And I think that's going to give them an edge in the years to come over a lot of these programs like an Ole Miss that, at least for now, they're unwilling to get into paying what it's going to take to stay at the top of the college football. And Tennessee, let's throw them into it as well. They are committed to paying these guys. And at the end of the day, there's no guarantees in college football, but it's going to put you in a better position if you're landing elite recruiting classes. And if Texas A&M wins the SEC, makes the college football playoff, and wins that elusive national championship, this is going to play a huge, huge part in getting it done. And I'm talking about NIL. While at the same time, two things can be true. Jimbo is arguably, I would say, a top 3 recruiter in the country, right there with Nick Saban and Kirby Smart. Those are my 1-2. Jimbo is right behind him. He's in that class. NIL is legal, and as long as it is, these athletes are going to be getting paid. There's no doubt about it.